Still on these infectious animal diseases, you can see these pathogens. Bacteria, it's an animal disease that those are microscopically small. That is, you can only see them through a microscope. Even viruses consist of this nucleic acid. Protozoa are also very small, and fungi, they are plant-like organisms that contain no chlorophyll, so it means they only depend. They can live parasitical or saprophytic, ne? Because they cannot make their own food. So, number one, we have foot and mouth disease. As you can see there, the blisters on the feet and the mouth. uh, Look at what it can cause. You see the animals just are just dead. Foot and mouth is highly contagious or infectious. It spreads rapidly and it's a notifiable disease. And we're saying this foot and mouth is endemic in Africa where there is persistence. So it means it can it can be predicted in that area because even it can stay with the head of buffaloes for about 20 years. So that's the meaning of endemic. So this is foot and mouth disease. This is how it spreads: secretions and excretions, secretions and excretions. Number three, air inhalation, ingestion when you eat any feed, and also enter through skin. It affects all animals with cloven, or that are cloven hooved, your cattle, your sheep, your goats. Symptoms: the blisters or the wounds, um, the painful ulcers, there's a sticky form, foamy salivation or high fever. All right, just learn just one or two. How do you treat? First of all, you need to prevent by vaccination, and you quarantine. That is, you keep the infected farm under quarantine so that nobody comes in or out, or animals come in out. Slaughter or ban all the infected animals. Control the imports. Clean and disinfect, sanitize. Destroy all the carriers, the vectors such as rodents. So this is foot and mouth. So it's very important because it's how it is. It will come even on exam. Just look at of the main symptoms and the animals that are affected, and the transmission and the treatment. This is rabies. You can see rabies, it affects dogs, can affect human being, it can affect human beings, even cows. You can see the excessive salivation there on the dogs. Rabies is acute and fatal, that is, it kills, and it's also a notifiable disease. It's endemic in South Africa, that is, we can predict that it will come and come and come, so it doesn't go away. It's something that stays with us. So rabies can be transmitted through saliva, that is, if an animal infected bites you like a dog. It hosts all the the domesticated cats or dogs, that is, those the cats that we live with and the dogs that we live with, even the wild animals, all warm-blooded mammals, even human beings. If anything that is warm-blooded can have rabies. Symptoms: we'll just look at the few. Like I said, don't look for my high flyers. Look at all of them. For others, just one or two. The top one: excessive salivation, aggression, neurological symptoms, grinding of teeth, eating strange objects. Dogs will run and bite. Cattle urinate frequently, run and bellowing aimlessly. It means it affects even the nervous system, and it can even lead to coma and total collapse and and also changes in behavior. Treatment, there's no treatment for rabies, but you can prevent it by mass immunization and destroy all the infected. Rift Valley fever, you can see it's spread by the mosquito. This is how the meat will look like, and it causes abortion, as you can see there. It's a per-acute or acute insect-borne viral disease. It occurs throughout Africa. You can see that it is transmitted by bites, and it's carried. It's called. The vectors here are mosquitoes and other biting insects. The hosts are wild animals such as buffaloes and camels. Forgive me for that, Africans. I will remove it. Symptoms: high fever, and then abortion. Abortion. You saw the abortion there in the picture. That it can cause abortion, Rift fever. It's one of the symptoms. Uh, nasal blood, nasal discharge into blood by empumlweni. Also, please vaccinate and control the vectors. You must also slaughter the animals. That is a life cycle of a Rift Valley fever. Then avian flu or bird flu. Birds can be affected with all types of avian flu, and it is also very contagious. It affects all types of birds, both your domesticated ones, your chickens, or the wild birds there. Symptoms: respiratory distress, swelling of the comb, nasal discharge, and decrease in egg production. Then treatment: just kill them, mass slaughter of all the infected birds, and you can also use vaccination. You can see what is happening there. It once happened in China. You can see those Chinese. Swine flu, the pigs. You can see swine flu is also a viral disease, and it is exotic in many African countries. That is endemic. Exotic and endemic mean the same thing, and it's also notifiable. We see the different types. So H1N1, it's also very, very fatal. It kills. So transmission, also all the pigs, and through its secretions, near respiration, and symptoms: high fever, loss of appetite, vomiting, muscular weakness, and there's no treatment. Once it appears, there's no treatment. Only you can do or quarantine and prevent, and also vaccinate. Newcastle disease, it affects the chickens. It's highly contagious poultry caused by a virus. So now it affects all birds. And imanyo can be transmitted through imanyo, through nose, infected by contaminated feed, and all poultry can be hosts or can be affected. Respiratory distress, avian flu, loss of appetite, nervousness. So there's no treatment even for this one. So you just need to cull and to kill all those that are infected. Bacterial diseases, we have anthrax. You can see that it's spread by spores, ne? And it's also zoonotic, that it can spread from animals to human beings. So that's how it is shown there. It's highly infectious, and it's caused by that spore. It can cause outbreaks. So it spread by spores. It affects all warm-blooded animals. The anthrax, it causes those high fever, and also the bloody discharge. The bloody discharge from the nose, mouth, and rectum. That's the one that was there on the exams. Also those muscle tremors and staggering. All right, and then you need to quarantine and vaccinate. Ne? Quarantine and vaccinate. You can see there the effect that it can do. It kills masses of animals. Mastitis, it only affects dairy cows, those with udder. It's a bacterial disease. It's just chronic. It's just chronic. It's not very fatal. The udder becomes hard and swollen, so it's caused by a bacteria that is transferred by hands of the milker, and the hosts, the dairy cows, and all the animals with an udder. The udder becomes hot and swollen and painful, and just sanitize and spray and dip and apply antibiotics on the udder. Like another antibiotic that you can use is penicillin or tetracycline. Tuberculosis, you can see there, we know TB. TB is also chronic and is contagious. It's a bacterial disease. It may be transmitted by inhalation nayo, or ingestion through milk when you eat milk of a cow with TB, and all affects all cattle. And symptoms, it's the coughs, chronic coughs, and increase in respiratory rate. And you must disinfect and vaccinate and kill the infected animals. The protozoal diseases, um,